What if I told you the biggest reason you haven't reached your goals isn't because you're lazy or unlucky, but because you've been aiming way too small? Think about it. Most of us set goals that are just slightly above what we've already achieved. We tell ourselves we want to do better, earn a bit more and get a little fitter, but what if that's exactly what's holding you back? Grant Cardone, the author of The 10X Rule, says that ordinary goals create ordinary lives. The people who dominate in business, sports, or even personal growth don't think small. They think 10 times bigger. They don't just want to increase their income by 10%. They want to multiply it by 10. They don't aim for 100 views on their content. They aim for 100,000. And here's the secret. When you aim 10 times higher, you naturally start taking actions that match that level of ambition. Now, let's be honest. Most people play life on safe mode. They dream just enough to feel good about themselves, but not enough to actually break through their limits. The 10X mindset destroys that comfort zone. It demands that you stop asking, what's realistic? And start asking, what would it take to do something massive? So let me ask you, what's the biggest goal you've ever set for yourself? Double it. Now, multiply that by 10. Sounds crazy, right? That's exactly the point. Because if your goals don't scare you a little, they're not big enough to change you. The 10X rule isn't about being unrealistic. It's about unlocking the version of you that stops settling for average and starts acting like greatness is the only option. And here's where it gets exciting. When you start thinking 10X, you begin to realize just how much more you're capable of. You stop waiting for motivation and start building momentum. You stop blaming circumstances and start taking massive action. This isn't about hype, it's about transformation, the kind that happens when you finally stop living small and decide to play life at full volume. So buckle up, because once you understand what it really means to live by the 10X rule, you'll never look at your goals or your limits the same way again. At its core, the 10X rule is simple, but it's powerful enough to flip your entire mindset upside down. Grant Cardone defines it like this: whatever goal you think you want, multiply it by 10, and whatever effort you believe it'll take to achieve it, multiply that by 10 too. That's the rule. It's not just about dreaming bigger, it's about realizing how much more effort success actually demands. Most people underestimate both sides of the equation. They set small goals and put in just enough effort to reach mediocrity. For example, someone might say, I want to make an extra $1,000 this month. So they work a little harder, maybe stay up an extra hour or two, and then give up when they don't see results. Why? Because they never prepared for the level of effort real success requires. They thought the goal was too small to fail, but in reality, it was too small to inspire action. The 10X rule flips that thinking. When you aim for something 10 times bigger, you immediately realize your current level of effort won't cut it. You start asking different questions. Instead of, how can I make $1,000? You ask, how can I make 10,000? That single question changes everything. It forces creativity. It forces innovation. It forces you to think beyond your limitations. And here's what most people miss. The goal itself isn't even the most important part. It's who you become by pursuing it. A 10X goal stretches you. It pushes you past excuses, fear, and comfort. You begin to act differently, speak differently, even think differently. Suddenly, average isn't good enough anymore. You start building habits that match massive success, not mediocrity. Grant says, never reduce your target, increase your actions. That's the real essence of the 10X rule. Most people shrink their dreams to fit their current effort, but high performers? They expand their effort to meet their massive dreams. That's the separation line between those who wish and those who achieve. So the next time you catch yourself saying, that's too much or that's impossible, remember this. The problem isn't that you're aiming too high, it's that you're thinking too small. The 10X rule challenges you to raise both your goals and your actions to levels that make the impossible suddenly start looking possible. Because when you act like success is your duty, not a distant dream, the game changes completely. Grant Cardone breaks human behavior down into what he calls the 4 degrees of action. And once you understand these, you'll instantly know which level you've been operating at. Here's the truth. Everyone takes action, but not everyone takes the right kind of action. These 4 degrees determine whether you stay stuck, move slowly, or explode toward success. The first degree is doing nothing. This is the most common and the most dangerous. These are the people who talk about their dreams but never take the first step. They say things like, "I'll start next week," or "I'm just waiting for the right time." But deep down, they're paralyzed by fear, laziness, or self-doubt. Doing nothing might feel safe, but it's actually the most expensive choice because it costs you time. And time is the one thing you never get back. The second degree is retreat. These are people who once tried, failed, and then ran in the opposite direction. Maybe they started a business that didn't work out, or they posted a few videos that didn't get views. Instead of learning and adapting, they retreat to their comfort zone. They convince themselves that success just isn't for them, but retreating doesn't protect you, it slowly destroys your potential. The third degree is taking normal action. This is where most people live. They do some work, put in some effort, and see some results. They're not failing, but they're not winning either. It's the land of mediocrity, where things are fine. But here's the catch. Normal action doesn't create extraordinary results. The world rewards massive effort, not minimal compliance. Normal action might make you comfortable, but it will never make you great. Then comes the fourth degree, the 1% zone, taking massive action. This is where 10x thinking comes alive. People at this level don't wait for perfect timing or ideal conditions. They move fast, they move big, and they don't stop when it gets uncomfortable. They flood the world with effort. They make more calls, create more content, meet more people, and take more risks than anyone else. And because of that, they also make more progress. Massive action isn't about working recklessly. It's about intensity and consistency. It's about doing so much that people can't ignore you. When everyone else is slowing down, you're speeding up. When they're talking about obstacles, you're already finding solutions. That's how the top performers separate themselves from the crowd, through relentless, unreasonable, unstoppable effort. So ask yourself, which level are you at right now? Be honest. Because the difference between where you are and where you want to be isn't talent, luck, or timing. It's how much action you're willing to take. You can stay comfortable or you can go 10x. But you can't do both. Here's where the real transformation begins, inside your mind. The 10x rule isn't just about doing more, it's about thinking differently. Grant Cardone says the biggest limitation in your life isn't your skills, your background, or your resources. It's your mindset. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they underestimate what's actually possible. Think about it. Every major breakthrough in history came from someone who refused to accept limits. The Wright brothers didn't ask, "Can humans really fly?" They asked, "How can we make it happen?" Elon Musk didn't say, "Let's build a car company." He said, "Let's build one that runs on electricity, accelerates faster than a sports car, and drives itself." That's 10x thinking, a mindset that refuses to play by small rules. When you start thinking beyond limits, you begin to realize something powerful. Average goals don't excite the human spirit. If your dreams don't make your heart race a little, they won't move you to take action. And if your goals don't scare you, they're not stretching you enough. Grant calls this the problem of small thinking. Small goals create small problems, and small problems never force growth. Now, the tricky part is that your brain is wired for safety, not success. It tries to protect you from failure, embarrassment, and uncertainty. So the moment you start thinking 10x, it throws doubts at you. That's impossible. That's too much. What will people say? But here's the truth. If your dreams don't trigger fear, they're probably not dreams. They're just to-do lists. To think 10x, you have to deliberately break the habit of underestimating yourself. You have to stop thinking about what's probable and start focusing on what's possible. You have to look at people who've achieved massive things and ask, if they did it, why can't I? Success doesn't belong to the chosen few. It belongs to the ones who choose to think bigger than everyone else. When you think this way, everything changes. You start setting goals that feel almost impossible, and that forces you to take new levels of action. You start surrounding yourself with bigger thinkers because small minds can't handle big ideas. You stop wasting time worrying about competition because when your goals are 10x, you realize the only competition that matters is you versus your potential. So, the next time you find yourself shrinking your dreams to fit your comfort zone, stop and ask, what would I do if I weren't afraid? Because that's where 10x thinking lives, right on the other side of fear. And once you cross that line, you'll never go back to thinking small again. Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood ideas when it comes to success: balance. Everyone preaches it. Keep your life balanced, they say. Don't overwork yourself. But Grant Cardone argues something completely different. If you want to achieve extraordinary results, you have to be obsessed, because balance doesn't create greatness, obsession does. Now that might sound extreme, but think about it. Has anyone who changed the world ever been balanced? Did Steve Jobs live a perfectly balanced life while building Apple? Did Serena Williams win Grand Slams by practicing just enough? Of course not. The people we admire most, the innovators, the creators, the leaders, they weren't balanced. They were focused, driven, and yes, a little obsessed. Obsession is often labeled as unhealthy, but what's really unhealthy is mediocrity. Waking up every day knowing you're capable of more, but choosing comfort instead. Grant says that success requires your full attention. It doesn't respond to part-time effort or half-hearted attempts. You can't give 50% of yourself to your goals and expect 100% results. You have to go all in, mentally, emotionally, and physically. The truth is, most people hide behind the idea of balance to justify their lack of intensity. They say, I just need more balance, when what they really need is more focus. Balance is often a disguise for fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of discomfort. But when you're obsessed, fear loses its grip. You stop worrying about what others think because you're too busy chasing something that sets your soul on fire. Here's what obsession really means in the 10x mindset. It's not about burning yourself out. It's about burning so brightly that excuses can't survive around you. It's about having a vision so strong that it pulls you out of bed before the alarm clock. It's about caring so deeply about your mission that you refuse to settle for average effort. And here's the irony. The people who chase balance often end up more stressed because they're constantly juggling priorities and never fully succeeding in any of them. But when you commit fully to something, when you immerse yourself completely, you create momentum. And momentum makes life easier, not harder. So maybe balance isn't the goal, maybe obsession is. Obsession with growth, with purpose, with improvement. Because the truth Here's one of the biggest truths about success that most people don't like to admit. Fear, criticism, and failure are not signs that you're doing something wrong. They're signs that you're finally doing something big enough to matter. Grant Cardone says that fear and rejection are the companions of greatness. The only people who never face criticism are the ones who never take action. Fear shows up every time you aim higher. It's your mind's way of warning you that you're leaving the comfort zone. But instead of listening to that fear, the 10x mindset tells you to use it as fuel. When something scares you, it's usually a clue that it's worth doing. The project you're nervous to start, the video you're scared to post, the call you're afraid to make, those are the exact things that lead to your next level. The goal isn't to eliminate fear, it's to move through it. And then there's criticism. The moment you start taking massive action, people will notice. And not everyone will cheer you on. Some will question your motives. Others will call you crazy, arrogant, or unrealistic. But as Grant says, if you don't get criticism, you're probably not doing enough. Think about it. No one criticizes the person doing nothing. They only attack the one making moves. So the next time someone doubts you, take it as proof that you're on the right path. Failure, too, is part of the process. Every 10x thinker understands that failure isn't a dead end. It's data. It's feedback. Each mistake teaches you what doesn't work, so you can get closer to what does. The people who win big are not the ones who never fall. They're the ones who keep standing up faster than anyone else. They see every setback as a stepping stone, not a stop sign. Here's the thing. Success demands visibility, and visibility attracts attention. The more you achieve, the louder the noise gets. That's part of the price of going 10x. But instead of fearing judgment or rejection, learn to welcome it. Let it remind you that you're breaking patterns, that you're doing what most people don't have the courage to do. So don't wait to feel fearless. Act despite the fear. Don't wait for people's approval. Keep moving without it. Don't wait for a perfect plan. Fail, adjust, and keep taking massive action. Because the moment you decide that fear, criticism, and failure are not enemies but signs of growth, you become unstoppable. That's the 10x mindset. It's not about being fearless. It's about being unstoppable even when you're afraid. Now let's talk about how to actually live the 10x rule. Not just understand it, but apply it to your daily life. Because reading about massive action won't change anything unless you start doing it. Grant Cardone's message isn't meant to inspire you for a few hours. It's meant to reprogram your habits, your routine, and your results. So here's how you turn 10x from a concept into a lifestyle. First, start with your goals. Most people write goals that sound good, not goals that stretch them. Take whatever you're aiming for, your income, your fitness, your business, your following, and multiply it by 10. Then ask, what kind of person would I need to become to make that happen? When you write goals that are 10 times bigger, you start thinking like someone who actually achieves them. The goal isn't just to hit the number, it's to grow into the version of yourself who can. Next, focus on 10x actions. Big goals need massive moves. Don't just plan more, do more. Double your calls, triple your content, reach out to more people, make more offers, learn more skills. Success loves speed and volume. The more action you take, the more opportunities you create. Grant says, average levels of activity will never lead to extraordinary results. So if your results are average, your actions probably are too. Third, track your effort, not just your outcomes. Too many people quit because they don't see immediate success, but when you track your actions, you'll realize progress happens long before results show up. Keep a 10x journal or planner. Record how much you're doing each day, how consistent you are, how many people you reach out to, how many steps you take toward your goal. You'll start noticing patterns. The more massive your action, the faster your wins. Another key step is to replace excuses with responsibility. Stop blaming time, money, luck, or other people. The 10x mindset says, everything is my fault. That might sound harsh, but it's actually empowering, because if you created the problem, you can also create the solution. Victims wait, leaders act, and massive action is what separates them. Surround yourself with your man-till-next energy. The people you spend time with shape your standards. If your circle is filled with complainers, doubters, or small thinkers, their energy will drag you down. But if you surround yourself with ambitious, driven people, their energy will pull you higher. Remember, success isn't contagious, but mediocrity is. Protect your environment. Lastly, make 10x a habit, not a phase. Consistency beats intensity every time. Massive action isn't a one-time push. It's a lifestyle of doing more, aiming higher, and expecting better from yourself. Wake up early, plan aggressively, execute relentlessly, and when you feel tired, remind yourself that average effort creates average lives. So here's your challenge. Take one area of your life, just one, and apply the 10x rule today. Set a goal 10 times bigger than your current one. Take 10 times the action you think is necessary. Don't wait for motivation. Let your action create it. Because the moment you start living 10x, you'll notice something incredible. Life starts giving you 10x opportunities in return. So here's the final truth. The 10x rule isn't just a book. It's a wake-up call. It's a challenge to stop living life on autopilot and start playing full out. Every dream you have, every goal you've been putting off, every excuse you've been telling yourself, this is the moment to change all that. Because the difference between ordinary and extraordinary isn't luck, it's action. Massive, relentless, unstoppable action. You have two choices. You can keep doing what's comfortable and get the same results, or you can go 10x. Think bigger, act faster, and push harder than you ever have before. The world doesn't reward good enough. It rewards people who are bold enough to demand more from themselves and brave enough to chase it. And the beautiful thing? The moment you start thinking 10x, you'll realize you were capable of so much more all along. So here's my challenge to you. Starting today, pick one goal, just one, and multiply it by 10. Then take action that matches that level of ambition. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait for perfect timing, because the perfect time never comes. Start now, because when you commit to 10x, the universe starts to respond with 10x opportunities, 10x connections, and 10x growth. Remember this, success isn't about talent, it's about tenacity. It's not about waiting for luck, it's about creating momentum. You don't have to be the smartest or the most experienced. You just have to be the one who refuses to quit. Keep pushing, keep grinding, keep thinking bigger than everyone else. Because once you start living 10x, you'll never want to go back to small thinking again. If this message inspired you, if it gave you that spark to take massive action in your life, then show some love. Hit that like to button, drop a comment about your 10x goal, and don't forget to rate subscribe for more motivational and audiobook style content. This is Audiobook Library, reminding you, dream big, act bigger, and live 10x. See you in the next video.